take a look at the Leviathan in Job chapter 41. Here's what it says. Can you draw out Leviathan with a fishhook, or press down his tongue with a cord? Can you put a rope in his nose, or pierce his jaw with a hook? Listen to this language. This is amazing. Will he make many pleas to you? Will he speak to you soft words? Will he make a covenant with you to take him for your servant forever? Will you play with him as with a bird, or will you put him on a leash for your girls? Can you imagine? Let's keep going. Will traders bargain over him? Will they divide him up among the merchants? Can you fill his skin with harpoons, or his head with fishing spears? Lay your hands on him. Remember the battle. You will not do it again. Behold, the hope of man is false. He is laid low even at the sight of him. No one is so fierce that he dares to stir him up. Who then is he who can stand before me? Who has first given to me that I should repay him? Whatever is under the whole heaven is mine. So you see, the Lord is using Leviathan to describe a creature in the kind of way that it'll draw Job's attention back to the Lord. He is using it in a powerful figurative way. But is he describing a purely mythical creature? I don't think so. Let's keep reading. I will not keep silence concerning his limbs, or his mighty strength, or his goodly frame. Who can strip off his outer garment? Who would come near him with a bridle? Who can open the doors of his face? Around his teeth is terror. His back is made of rows of shields, shut up closely as with a seal. One is so near to the other that no air can come between them. They are joined one to the other. They clasp each other and cannot be separated. Now, at this point, you're reading this and you're going, okay, fine. Here we've got an animal. It's clearly a reptile. It's got shields on its back, if you will. That is figurative language. It's talking about the scaly skin on its back. You can picture like a horned lizard or a crocodile. In fact, maybe this is describing a crocodile, because when you skip forward, it says his underparts are like sharp potsherds. He spreads himself like a threshing sledge on the mire. So this is a creature that's going through the mud, the area where the ground is very soft, a little bit like the behemoth. He's clearly in some sort of swampy area. And then it says he makes the deep boil like a pot. He makes the sea like a pot of ointment. Behind him, he leaves a shining wake. One would think the deep to be white-haired. So you read this and you're like, well, this sounds like a crocodile, something like that. And you know what? It might be. It might be a crocodile. But listen to this part that I skipped over. His sneezings flash forth light, and his eyes are like the eyelids of the dawn. Out of his mouth go flaming torches. Sparks of fire leap forth. Out of his nostrils come forth smoke, as from a boiling pot and burning rushes. His breath kindles coals, and a flame comes forth from his mouth. Now, you read this and you go, well, that sounds like a fire-breathing dragon. But then you look at the bottom of your Bible in the footnote, and you know what it says? It says this may be describing the way that a whale's fume or a whale's breath, or whatever it's called, the stuff that comes out of the blowhole, looks in the light. Okay, here's the problem with that. We're not talking about a whale, because a whale doesn't have shields on its back. A whale doesn't have scaly skin, reptilian skin. A whale is not, yeah, they're definitely dangerous, but I'm actually reading Moby Dick right now this year. Whales can be dangerous for sure, but whales aren't really described the way that the Leviathan is here. And a whale's breath, although it might look like steam or even smoke if the light hits it just right, it can't kindle coals. It's not like burning torches. You might say, but Joel, but there's nothing that can do that. There's nothing that breathes fire. This is clearly mythological. Well, that might be true. It might not necessarily be true. If this is describing a mysterious, rare, or even extinct animal, like a aquatic reptile, similar to a dinosaur, although dinosaurs are technically land creatures, then for all we know, it very well may have had a mechanism that it could actually breathe out fire. Now, again, my son asked me this morning as we were talking about this, Jacob asked, what's the point of having the ability to breathe out fire if you live in the water? And, I've wondered the same thing. Wouldn't it just come out as steam or smoke, or wouldn't the water quench it? Yes, but this animal clearly can come up onto the land as well, or at least get pretty close to the land because it drags itself along in the mire and leaves a track and a trail in the mud. So this is at least an animal that can come up very shallow. It's a terror to people who sail in boats. No merchant would ever try to catch it. This very well may be describing something like a now extinct creature like a Kronosaurus. Here in Job, we actually have eyewitness testimony as to what something like a Kronosaurus may have looked like. And again, we come back to it being able to breathe fire. That's not unprecedented in even the animal kingdom today. As a matter of fact, there's a bug called a bombardier beetle, which mixes chemicals together and shoots out a boiling hot spray. Perhaps a Kronosaurus or another similar animal like that had this a similar ability. If you were to look at a fossilized lightning bug, there'd be no way that you'd be able to tell that it had the ability to mix chemicals together in its abdomen and grow. Same thing with the bombardier beetle. For all we know, the Kronosaurus or something similar had the ability to breathe fire. And the fact of the matter is, we do have legends in history and accounts that seem to have some actual historical truth to them about animals that could breathe out fire, fire-breathing dragons. So am I saying I believe all those legends? No. Am I saying that there's at least a possibility? Yes. And then when we read in Job, we get this description. What I'm saying is, as you read Job, as you read the plain description of what's going on here, the way that Leviathan is described among other animals, along with the behemoth, it sure seems like there was some sort of crocodilian, Kronosaurus-like animal that could breathe out fire, and he didn't want to mess with them. And God was using this animal, a real animal, to describe a theological truth. So, pretty cool.